At this morning, federal law enforcement officers went into the Oval Office at the White House. 4 deputy U.S. Marshals, 3 Secret Service agents following orders from Director Kimberly Cheatle, and 1 FBI supervisor leading the operation were there. They found the former president sitting alone at the resolute desk. He was reading some papers. The lead marshal said who he was, and spoke words that no American president had ever heard before. "Sir, the Senate of the United States has found you guilty and removed you from office. You are no longer the president. We are here to help you leave the White House. Will you come with us willingly?" People who were in the room said the former president answered, "This is against the law. I am the president. The American people elected me. You do not have the power to take me out of office." The marshal said, "Sir, the Constitution gives the Senate the power to remove presidents when they are found guilty. That power was used yesterday. We are carrying out a legal order. Please come with us." At 4:03 a.m., 16 minutes after the federal agents walked into the Oval Office, the former president left the White House for the last time. He did not leave willingly. He left while protesting. U.S. Marshals walked on both sides of him. He got into a regular black government SUV, not Marine One and not part of a big presidential motorcade. For the first time since the big constitutional problem started, the White House no longer had someone in it whom the Senate had removed from office. Subscribe to this channel right now, because what I am going to explain is not just a win or loss for one political side. This is the moment when the American constitutional system showed it can use its strongest punishment. It can do this even when a president will not accept it. Turn on notifications, set them to all, because the question now is not what happened last night. The question is what kind of country comes out of this problem. The 12-hour wait from guilty vote to removal happened between the Senate's guilty vote yesterday evening and the actual removal at 3:47 this morning. 12 hours passed. Those 12 hours show how the standoff ended and how close it came to ending in a different way. 6:23 p.m. Marshals arrive but are stopped at the gate. U.S. Marshals came to the White House northwest gate with the Senate's removal order. Secret Service agents who were loyal to the former president blocked them. Those agents would not let federal law enforcement come onto the grounds. That standoff, federal marshals on one side and Secret Service agents on the other, both saying they had constitutional power, lasted all through the evening. 8:47 p.m. Director Cheatle arrives in person. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle came to the White House herself. She went in through a safe entrance and spoke directly to the agents who protect the president. People there said she told them, "The Senate has removed him. He is no longer the president. Our promise is to the Constitution, not to any one person. We will not stop the legal carrying out of a Senate guilty finding. Any agent who blocks federal law enforcement from doing legal orders will lose their job and maybe face charges." That clear statement from the head of the agency that protects presidents drew a strong line. The Secret Service protects the office of the president, not the person in it. And the person in the White House was no longer the one holding the office. 9:34 p.m. Agents start to leave. 3 agents who were part of the former president's protection team left the White House. They went to join the team protecting the new president. Their leaving showed that the end was starting. 10:15 p.m. More agents leave. 2 more agents left. The group protecting him got smaller. Midnight, 7 agents remain. By midnight, only 7 Secret Service agents were still with the former president inside the White House, and even those 7 were not sure anymore. 1:47 a.m. The final order comes. Director Cheatle met with the last 7 agents and gave them a direct command. "Stand down, let the marshals come in. Help with the departure or quit right now and face punishment." There was no confusion, no room for talk. Follow the order or face results. 2:34 a.m. The last agents who were holding out stand down. The final agents who resisted gave up. Now the way was open for federal law enforcement to go inside the White House. 3 a.m. The plan to go in is finished. The U.S. Marshals Service, working with the Secret Service and the FBI, completed the plan to enter. 4 marshals would go into the Oval Office. 3 Secret Service agents would go with them to show that the Secret Service backed the plan. The FBI would guard the outside area. The main goal was a calm departure, but the marshals were allowed to use whatever force was needed if the former president fought back physically. 3:47 a.m. They enter. The 16 minutes inside the Oval Office. The face-to-face moment inside the Oval Office lasted 16 minutes. The former president was not by himself when the agents came in. 2 personal helpers were there, along with 1 private lawyer and 1 remaining political helper. All 4 were told to leave the room. They did what they were told. Then the former president was given a choice: leave on your own or be taken out. People there said he answered, "I will not leave on my own. If you take me out, you are breaking the Constitution and doing something illegal. I will fight this in court." I will bring this to the American people, but I will not walk out of this office because I want to. The lead marshal answered, Sir, we hear what you are saying, but the law is clear. The Senate found you guilty. You are removed. We have to carry out that removal. We want this to be calm. Will you walk with us, or do we have to take you by force? The former president stood up. He picked up a few personal things from the desk, some papers, a phone, a photograph, and he said words that people may study for a long time from his time in office. You are making a big mistake in history. The American people will remember this. I am being taken out against the law, but I will not let you drag me out and feel happy about it. I will walk, but I am protesting, and this is not finished. At 4:03 a.m., the former president walked out of the Oval Office with U.S. Marshals on both sides of him. Secret Service agents who had stepped back watched quietly as he went by. He walked down the hallway, through the West Wing, and out to the South Lawn. A regular government car was waiting, not Marine One, not a big presidential motorcade, just a plain black SUV. The former president got into the back seat. The car drove away from the White House grounds. For the first time since the problem started, the White House had no one in it whom the Senate had removed from office. Drop a comment right now. Tell me, do you think this removal followed the Constitution, or do you think the former president was right that it was illegal? I am reading every answer because people will argue about this question for many years. The new president enters at 4:15 a.m., 12 minutes after the former president left. The new president walked into the White House for the first time as president, not as acting president, not as vice president, but as president. The Senate had confirmed this by finding the previous president guilty and removing him. The new president walked into the Oval Office, sat at the resolute desk, and gave the first executive order. All federal offices must go back to normal work under the correct chain of command. The constitutional problem is over. The government will work normally. That order went to every department, every federal office, and every military group. The message was very clear. There is only one president now. The problem is finished. Move ahead. 6:08 a.m. The first national security meeting. The new president had the first morning national security meeting in the Oval Office. The leader of the Joint Chiefs gave the overnight report on dangers. The director of national intelligence talked about what was happening around the world. The Secretary of Defense explained the military's readiness. It was a normal meeting for a president, the kind that happens every morning, except this was the first one done by the new president in the White House, just hours after the former president was taken out of the same room. The work of government was going again. The change of power, which was late, argued over, and finally forced, was complete. The nation and the world react. At 7 a.m., every major TV network stopped regular shows. The news went around the world right away. Every big international news group started with the same story. A U.S. president found guilty by the Senate was physically taken out of office after he refused to leave. Videos showed the government car leaving at 4:03 a.m. 4:03 a.m. Pictures showed the new president going in at 4:15 a.m. The White House said the constitutional problem was over. The whole world was watching and thinking about something that had never happened in 234 years of American history. 8 a.m. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer held a news conference last night. He said the constitutional system worked. The Senate used its power to find guilty and remove. The former president would not accept that decision. But the rule of law won. Federal law enforcement, helped by brave Secret Service agents who kept their promise to the Constitution, carried out the removal. This is not a win for any political party. This is a win for the Constitution. When someone asked if the removal was done the right way, he said no one wanted it to reach the point of physical removal. But when a president refuses to follow the Senate's constitutional power, someone has to enforce it. That enforcement happened in a calm and legal way. 8:30 a.m. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who voted guilty, gave his own statement. The Senate's guilty vote came from clear proof that the president did not follow the Supreme Court. 68 senators, including 17 Republicans, decided removal was needed. When the former president refused to accept that decision, enforcement could not be avoided. I voted for guilty. I support carrying out that guilty vote. The Senate's power to remove presidents has to mean something. Last night proved that it does. 17 Republicans voted to find him guilty. The minority leader publicly supported the physical removal. Whatever this was, it was not just one party against the other. 9 a.m. Chief Justice John Roberts gave a short statement through the Supreme Court. The Senate used its constitutional power to hold a trial and find a president guilty. That process followed what the Constitution requires. Carrying out the Senate's decision supports the separation of powers and the rule of law. Roberts did not say more, but his words from the highest court in the country supported both the guilty vote and the removal. Then came the former president's answer. The former president put out a statement through his lawyers. "I was taken out of the White House illegally by federal agents following orders that go against the Constitution. The Senate's guilty vote came from a fake impeachment. I am still the real president. I will use every legal way to fight this, and I will keep working for the American people who chose me." That statement shows he will challenge the guilty vote in court. He does not believe he has been removed, and he still says he is the real president. 11 a.m. The new president speaks to the nation. The new president talked from the Oval Office for 10 minutes. "My fellow Americans, the constitutional problem that has held our nation is finished. The Senate used its power. I have taken the office. The former president has left the White House. I know many of you supported him. I know many of you have questions about what happened. But I ask you to accept what the Constitution says must happen. The Senate found him guilty. That guilty finding removed him from office. The government must work now. I promise to heal the splits in this country and bring back trust in our systems. We will move forward together." The speech was short. It focused on bringing people together. It focused on going past the problem, not celebrating it. The historical meaning. In 234 years of American history, the Senate had never found a president guilty and removed him. Andrew Johnson was found not guilty by one vote in 1868. Bill Clinton was found not guilty easily in 1999. Donald Trump was found not guilty 2 times in 2021. For more than 200 years, the power to impeach was there in the Constitution as an idea. It was the strongest tool that everyone knew about but no one thought would really be used all the way. Last night it was used for real. The Senate voted guilty 68 to 32. 17 Republicans joined all the Democrats. And when the former president would not leave, federal law enforcement took him out. That has never happened before. This matters not only as history but as a fact for the future, because it proves 3 things that were only ideas before. First, a Senate guilty vote is not just for show. It can be carried out. A president who is found guilty and removed cannot just say no and stay. Second, the Secret Service protects the office, not the person. As Director Cheatle showed, when the person in the office changes, the protection goes to the new office holder even if the old one does not agree. Third, the constitutional system, when tested to its hardest point, held strong. It bent. It was under great pressure. It took weeks of trouble, courage from both parties, and very hard choices by our systems, but it held. 6 signs to watch for how the country gets better. The removal is done, but the results will show for months and years. Here are 6 signs that will tell us how the country comes back from this problem. Sign 1. Legal fights. Will the former president start real court cases against the guilty vote? If he files lawsuits saying the Senate did not have the power to remove him, courts will have to answer a question no one has asked in court before. Can judges look at Senate guilty votes? Sign 2. How Republican voters react. Will Republican voters accept the guilty vote or see it as wrong? If polls show most Republicans think the former president was taken out against the law, it means deep and long-lasting splits that will affect elections for years. Sign 3. How well the new administration works. Will the new president lead well and gain support from the public? If the new team shows they can do the job and wins over people who had doubts, it proves the removal was right. If not, it makes people think the problem was about politics, not the Constitution. Sign 4. Does government work continue? Will any federal workers or military people refuse to follow the new president? If some people inside government keep resisting, it means the problem is not really over, no matter what happened at 3:47 a.m. Sign 5. What Congress does next. Will Congress make new laws to make impeachment and removal clearer? If lawmakers think the process showed weak spots in how the Constitution works, they may write new rules for what people only assumed before. Sign 6. What history experts say. Will historians and Constitution experts agree that the removal was done correctly? If most experts and legal thinkers say it was right, it sets a strong example for the future. If they stay split, the argument never ends. 3 possible long-term paths. The next months will show which of 3 paths America takes. Path 1. The healing path. The country accepts the removal and moves ahead. The new president leads well. The former president's court fights fail. Over time, most people see the problem as the system doing its job, painful but needed. Within a year, it becomes a big but finished moment in history. Our systems become stronger because they survived their hardest test. Path 2. The continuing split path. The country stays deeply divided. Half the people see the removal as proper use of the Constitution. Half see it as a takeover. The former president becomes a sign of fighting back. The new president has trouble being trusted. Trust in systems stays low. The problem ends on paper, but its effects never really go away. Path 3, the damage path. The problem breaks something basic. Trust in the Senate's power to impeach and remove gets weaker, not stronger, because of how the removal was done. Future presidents think they can ignore Supreme Court decisions without real results if they fight removal hard enough. The constitutional system stays weaker forever. The removal becomes not a warning but a plan others can follow. Which path do you think America will take? Drop your guess in the comments. I am following all three. As the months go by, you will see the updates here. Here is what we know for sure right now. At 3:47 a.m., federal agents went into the Oval Office. At 4:03 a.m., the former president left the White House. At 4:15 a.m., the new president went in. At 6:08 a.m., the first national security meeting happened with new leadership. The constitutional problem that started when the cabinet used the 25th Amendment grew bigger with refusing the Supreme Court, emergency powers, impeachment, and the guilty vote, ended with the physical removal of a former president who would not accept he was removed. The system worked. It took weeks. It needed the House to impeach with support from both parties. It needed the Senate to vote guilty with 17 Republicans going against their party. It needed the Secret Service director to choose the Constitution over one person. It needed federal law enforcement to physically take someone out of the White House. But it worked. The next months will show whether this problem made American democracy stronger or weaker. Did we prove that the constitutional system can control even a president who fights it the most? Or did we show that it takes huge efforts and very risky moments to make basic constitutional rules work? The answer depends on whether this becomes something future presidents fear or something future presidents think they can get through if they push hard enough. What we know for sure is this: the American presidency will never be the same. Every president from now on will know that a Senate guilty vote is real, that removal can be forced, and that refusing to follow the Supreme Court can cost you the office. Every senator will know that voting to find a president from your own party guilty is possible, and that 17 Republicans did it. Every citizen will know that the constitutional problem of 2026 ended with the system making its rules stick, even when the person those rules applied to fought with all he had to stop them. The Constitution survived. Democracy survived. America moves forward knowing that the rule of law, tested to its hardest point, held strong. Stay with this channel. Turn on notifications. The constitutional problem has ended, but the results will keep coming for years. When courts decide on the former president's legal fights, when the new president's plans take shape, when historians look back at what happened, you will see the updates here. This is not finished, but the most dangerous part, the part where we did not know if removal could really happen, is over. I'll see you in the next video.